I grew up on an interface. So I grew up in a loyalist area. So loyal to the Queen and Britain, that area that I was from. I grew up, so Tigers Bay was that. The next neighbourhood along beside us was the New Lodge, which was a Republican area, which wanted nothing to do with loyalism, unionism, wanted Ireland to be an all-Ireland, and wanted Britain out completely, wanted soldiers out. So I grew up right on that interface, like one street away from it. Right at the end of the Troubles, I grew up at the end of the Troubles, so I didn't witness everything that went on, but I seen a few atrocities. I've seen some things I shouldn't have seen as a kid. But it was just life then for me. That's where I grew up, and that's all that I knew.
It's interesting that you went on to become a fighter, and in Northern Ireland there was a lot of conflict there, a lot of fighting. The generation that came before you, maybe your mum and your dad, your uncles, did they have kind of a tougher mindset through what they've been through?
I don't know. Probably, yeah, but I think that's generations everywhere. If you look at what's going on in today's society, like a generation before our generation, they were all tougher than the kids today. So I think that's just the way it is everywhere, not just Belfast, but right across the globe, really.
I noticed you said when you was growing up, at first you was a bit shy, you used to get some bother in the streets, and that's kind of why you found yourself going to a boxing gym. What happened when you started boxing? Was that a way to kind of combat that?
Not really. So the real reason I went to boxing and joined the club was curiosity. I knew the local amateur club was a 2-minute walk from my house, and I wanted to see what it was like, and I didn't know what it was going to be like when I get down there. But once I started sparring, like you said, I was a quiet kid on the street, and I wasn't bullied or anything. It was just kids being kids, but I would have shied away if anybody got aggressive or tried to have a fight. I would have walked away and backed off. But when I joined the boxing club, I started to spar pretty early, and I was guys that I wouldn't have opened my mouth to in the street, I was beating up in the gym, and I liked that, and that was the real reason why I stuck it out.
So you kind of got like a sense of confidence from it.
Confidence, and it's just, I suppose it's human nature as well. You want to be better than the next guy to you. So I was beating up guys who were seen as the big guys in the street. I was far from a big guy in the street. I was a quiet kid, but in the boxing club, I was the one that was getting better of the loudmouths, and I like that. It's a bit of machoism. It's human nature, but I just liked being better than the next kid.
It relates to some of my times at school. Sometimes the hardest people are the people that never fight, but there's always that demeanour about them that they're extremely tough. And then they can be exposed and the illusion can be shattered when you actually, I suppose, put it on them, or mentally you get the kahunas, the balls, to do something about it and challenge them. When you started beating up young people, well, the young people in the ring, when you was obviously training, after that, did you carry that through your life in terms of it gave you confidence in everywhere in your life?
It gave me confidence, yes, certainly, but it didn't suddenly turn me into a kid on the street that was picking on other kids because I was beating them up in the boxing club. It just gave me a self-confidence and made me realise that, I can, if I can beat them up in a ring, I'm pretty sure I could do it in the street too. So it's not as if I was running around throwing my weight about or anything like that, but it just gave me a bit of a self-confidence. And boxing as well is always a sport that instills discipline. It's not just about, they tend to try to make kids, they would almost go to the point of not fighting in the street, but if you have to, you're able to defend yourself. So I knew I could do that if I had to, but I was in very, very little street fights as a kid growing up, even after I joined the boxing club.
You said curiosity led you there. And anybody who's been to a boxing gym for the first time usually remembers what it's like as they kind of walk into the doors open and they see the gym. Can you describe what it felt like when you was in there?
Yeah, I remember the old gym. It's changed a lot. It's still in the same place, but it's changed a lot since I started. And remember they used to have they got these wooden boards out and you used to have to skip on them and stuff. But the very first night I went to the club, there was me and a group of friends came down, and I was told to kind of sit and watch. I wasn't allowed to train the first night. I was 7 years old, so pretty young. And when I was 7, I probably looked like I was 5. So the coaches were kind of a bit like, you might be a bit too young to come down. So in this day and age, I don't think you'd be able to do it at that age. I think 7's probably too young. But I went down, I sat and watched it, and I came back the next night and they allowed me to train, and that was it. I was hooked. I stayed there. I stayed there from 7 years old, and I'm currently still a boxer.
From being 7 years old to being, how old were you when you won your first world title? 20?
Ooh, I was 22, I think, when I turned pro, so I would have been maybe 26 or 7.
26, 7. At the beginning, you go into the gym and it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a career in boxing, let alone win a world title. When was the first time you realised that this might be something that I'm a little bit better than all the rest at?
I knew it was good by the time I hit about 11. Like I knew I was a decent fighter. I used to be called, like, a lot of people who didn't even know my name in Tigers Bay, they'd see me walking from my house to the boxing club and people would say, there's the boxer. They would know me as the boxer. So I always had that kind of image, and you imagine me walking down as a 7 to 11-year-old, walking down with a little rucksack 3 nights a week, sometimes more, to the boxing club, rain, hail or snow, and people just got used to seeing me and used to me being the boxer. Now everyone in Tigers Bay at some point, my age group anyway, would have been in the boxing club trained. Some of them would have stuck it out for a couple of years, maybe a few weeks, a few days, but I was the one that stuck it out. And I was aware probably when I was about 11, 12 that I was decent at it, and I had already a decent record by that point. I hadn't lost many fights, and yeah, I was getting a wee bit of a name and a reputation as being half decent.
You said rain, hail or snow, and you said everybody in that Tigers Bay area would at some point pass through the gym. You was the one who stuck it out, and you stuck it out for a long period of time. What made you turn up every other night?
Well, there was times I didn't want to go. My mum forced me in as well, and I think maybe she thought that she realised that it was giving me the confidence that I had. Maybe she realised that I was decent at it as well and potential career option. I don't know, but there was times where, because at times when you're very young, it seemed almost military to me, the boxing club. Like it's changed now, and how they train kids is completely different. But it was hard, and it was 3 rounds of a warm-up, 3 rounds of skipping, 3 rounds of bags, 3 rounds of pads, 3 rounds of abs and crunches at the end. That was it. Same old routine every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So at times I didn't want to go down, and I'd rather be playing out in the street with my mates, playing football or playing, I was going to say PlayStation, I don't think I had a PlayStation, Sega Mega Drive or whatever it was then. And I was kind of pushed out the door almost at times by my mum. I resented it a wee bit at times, didn't want to go all the time, but I always made sure I did.